Leonard Cohen said his teacher once told him that the older you get, the lonelier you become, and the deeper the love you need. This is because as we go through life, we tend to over-identify with being the hero of our stories. This hero isn't exactly having fun. He's getting kicked around, humiliated, and disgraced. But if we can let go of identifying with him, we can find our rightful place in the universe and a love more satisfying than any we have ever known. People constantly throw around the term hero's journey without having any idea what it really means. Everyone, from CEOs to wellness influencers, think that the hero's journey means facing your fears, slaying a dragon, and gaining 25,000 followers on Instagram. But that's not the real hero's journey. In the real hero's journey, the dragon slays you. Much to your surprise, you couldn't make that marriage work. Much to your surprise, you turned 40 with no kids, no house, no prospects. Much to your surprise, the world didn't want the gifts you proudly offered it. If you are foolish, this is where you will abort the journey and start another and another, abusing your heart over and over for the brief illusion of winning. But if you're wise, you will let yourself be shattered and return to the village, humbled, but with a newfound sense that you don't have to identify with the part of you that needs to win, needs to be recognized, and needs to know. This is where your transcendent life begins. So embrace humility in everything. Life isn't out to get you, nor are your struggles your fault. Every defeat is just an angel tugging at your sleeve, telling you that you don't have to keep banging your head against the wall. Leave that striver there, trapped in his lonely ambitions, and just walk away, and life in its vastness will embrace you. This is a text written by Paul Winfield from paulwinfieldcoaching.com, and it's inspired by Leonard Cohen and his story about his teacher. Unlike strategy and authority, this deconditioning formula is something that can be applied to everyone while still honoring the uniqueness of each one of you. I've said this so many times by now, but I have to repeat it every time for those of you who are new to human design. Strategy and authority did not come from the voice. The voice didn't give us a manual for life. It gave us a gift of knowledge. Through Ra, this gift became available to all of you, but it's your job to unwrap it for yourself. Ra tried unwrapping it for all of us, and I'm not clear whether that was his intention or not. Everybody seems to be eager to receive Ra's gift, not their own. You can't find yourself. You can't find your way through your treasure map by using somebody else's. You have your own. But for some reason, you're declining to unwrap it for yourself. It's right there in front of you. And still you're looking at somebody else's gift. You're looking at somebody else's map and somebody else's journey. You become obsessed with somebody else's journey. You deny your experience if it differs from Ra's. This is not what human design was brought for. It's for you. If strategy and authority really do work for you, if you have experienced them and cognitively confirmed them, then who am I to say that they don't work? But if you clearly see that they don't work, you have convinced yourself that you need more time, need more convincing, and you need more brainwashing, then you're going to live your life in vain. All I have witnessed from people rigidly obeying their given strategy and authority, not the one they experienced, but the one that was assigned to them. And then they embraced with a full-on belief that it will work. All I have seen from that is people who are lost and afraid. And they become lost and afraid by applying these strategies. We see people who are afraid to speak, people who are afraid to move, people who are afraid to feel anything. Because somebody else told them they're not supposed to feel this, experience that, think about these specific things. So what they're really doing is they're giving their authority to somebody else. The only thing you need to start with is surrender and acceptance. And if you're going to call that strategy, go ahead. Strategies block you from living. And what surrender does is it puts you in flow with life. So the first step in this deconditioning process is surrender to the themes of your environment. And no, I'm not talking about your color, placing your body in caves, placing your body on bunk beds, placing your body on a shore. That doesn't mean a thing. Look at your environmental gates and lines. There is an entire book written on nodal environments. And the job of these nodes is to move you. The nodes move your crystals into this incarnating experience. This is where you incarnate from. They continue moving you throughout your life, even after this life has ended. They are an orientation. Our nodal environments are most often not pleasant, and all we want to do in our lives is avoid our nodal environments. We are all conditioned in this life by tone 5. We are all conditioned by seeking experience, desire, and feelings, seeking pleasure. It's extremely difficult to accept something that doesn't necessarily bring that pleasure. And yeah, we can still be in relationships that don't work. We can still work in places which we don't enjoy. Why that happens in the first place is because we're constantly seeking this pleasure. That's why we don't like our workplace. That's why we have issues with our partners. That's why we have problems with our friends. Because we're always seeking perfection. We're always seeking the feel good. We're always seeking something better. And in a world full of possibilities, there is always a hope that there is something better for us. In this chart, for example, we can see an environment that talks about confusion and doubt in a line 3, adapting to confusion and doubt, making mistakes through these themes. So what happens with this person when they surrender to their doubt, when they surrender to their confusion without constantly trying to resolve it, what happens to them is they get moved along their line of geometry. They get moved in a correct direction. So with these specific lines, what happens is that this surrender occurs over time or through others, through other people. So the acceptance of not having to be certain, not having to know everything, the acceptance of not identifying with the confusion and the doubt, but just seeing them as things that are happening around them, just seeing them as themes that need to be experienced in one's life, that need to be embraced. Only this realization opens the eyes of this person, brings on awareness to them. They spent their life thinking, what should they do? What career path should they choose? And very often this was chosen for them. But they always struggled with a lack of passion, with seeing everybody being driven by pleasure when they didn't feel the same way. And so the only thing that was left to do was to surrender to this feeling of not knowing, surrender to this confusion, surrender to this uncertainty. And what the nodes do then, they move them to the right, to the correct perspective, and they move them above to the correct determination, cognition, to the tone 6, from where they can actually make decisions. They can make decisions that are rooted in the bond, in bonding with others. Tone 6 does not at all care for pleasures in this life. They care for collaboration. When this person is not self, they make decisions from their tone 1, the personality side. They make inner authority decisions from a place of outer authority. And that is what the transference on the design side is. There is no transference on the design side. It just moves you onto the opposite. You're making decisions from a tone that is supposed to be a place of expression of outer authority. And so they would make decisions based on security. Well, I have a job, and this job feels safe. It gives me money every month. Well, I have a relationship, and this relationship makes me feel safe because I will come home and I will have food and I will have it all, my house cleaned, and I will have everything in order. Having a relationship helps me buy a house, have children, all of these things that are considered safe in today's world. But when they surrender to these nodes, and when they correctly guide them into their cognition, what happens there is that they make decisions based on finally trusting their senses. Finally trusting the sensing, solar plexus sensing, something that is still completely uncertain in this world, while solar plexus is still not considered an awareness center. But their correctness gets them there. They can trust their solar plexus. They can trust that correct bonds will bring them to correct places, that correct collaborations will make them express their mastery, their outer authority, as it was designed. We talk about resistance in human design, and we often observe it through the strategy. I think Ra almost got it right there. But the resistance is what happens when we keep denying, when we keep avoiding our nodal environment, when we're trying to run away from it because it's not pleasant and we want to seek pleasure. We're not able to deal with those demons and let that dragon slay us, let that dragon humble us and put us back on the start of this line of geometry, so that we can finally walk it correctly. Strategy and authority are purely mental processes where we have to keep reminding ourselves about the strategy. We have to keep reminding ourselves not to speak first. We don't live in flow. We just keep blocking the flow with the strategy and authority as they are. With the deconditioning formula, it's a process in flow, puts us in flow. With strategy and authority, as we know it, the process begins on the personality side, with the mind, with the thinking about these strategies, thinking about what do I have to do? How does my authority operate? Oh yeah, do I get a feeling in my stomach? You can't ask these questions from the mind side. When you're in flow, there is no need for questions. There is no need for mind to ask anything, to doubt anything, because it's just clear. There is no need to make Facebook posts and ask, was this a correct invitation? Was this my correct solar plexus authority? Was this clarity? Was this recognition? It's also not about obeying the impulses of the body. It's just about where we begin. We begin with the body. We begin on the design side. But the ultimate awareness comes from realization that we are not either one of these. We are not design. We are not personality. In Hermeticism, they also had this. It's actually another system that came from voice of Hermes, of the messenger, who delivered a knowledge that talked about ego, which is who we truly are. And ego is this spark that is living in this vehicle, that is dealing with the mind. The ego is who we actually are. And in design, we call it passenger. We call it a passenger consciousness. So in order for any of these things to work, in order for this quantum to happen, first step is separation, is awareness of the fact that we are neither one of these sides. We are only here to deal with these bodies and deal with these minds. Strategy and authority are restricting your movement from the mind side. Deconditioning formula puts you in flow, gives you a chance, and it recognizes the uniqueness of each one of us. It doesn't group us, it doesn't homogenize us. Oh, all projectors have to wait. All emotional authorities go through a wave. This is where the pure uniqueness lays. This is how you can find yourself. But as Ra would say, don't believe me. Try it out for yourself. The biggest problem is that most of us have no idea how to study human design. Many of us come from different backgrounds, spiritual backgrounds. In order to truly understand human design, you have to approach it with no preconceived ideas about who you are, because all people tend to do when they come to design is, oh, hi, I'm a visual learner. Where can I see that in my chart? Or I am extremely empathetic. Where can I find that in my chart? I'm intuitive. Where is that in my chart? There is no such thing. That is not how the learning happens. The learning and experiencing is not about looking for evidence of who you are through your chart. It's about cognitively recognizing whether these concepts happen or not. Don't confuse experiment with a belief. And don't live anybody else's experience. Me as a Tone 4 person, I know that my insights can often be taken as gospels. That's just how it is with my tone. But my intention is never for you to have the same experience as me. It would just mean that I'm conditioning you. My intentions through my teachings, through the readings that I do, is helping you to find your own truth. Find your own path. And yeah, if you're a generator and you live a normal life where you have a job and you have a family, the chances are you will start noticing questions that people ask you. It's just normal. It doesn't prove anything. We as humans are still beings who put huge importance on the place of a wrong outer authority, which is communication. The goal of human design is not for it to be proven. It's for you to get to experience the theme of your cross. That is your only evidence. And you know, especially for projectors, learn from me. Don't learn from what I say. Don't learn from my words, but from observing me. My cross is that of contagion. It's a very straightforward cross. It's a very obvious one. Let's see when I get there. Am I there already? Or will I never get there? But that is something that is visible. That is something that is obvious. Take your cross and see where you're at and how you got there, if you are there. Was it through strategy and authority and restricting yourself and having the mind rule over your every decision, no matter how minor? Or is it by living your life in flow, in oneness, in acceptance, and in a humbling way? Are you trying constantly to defeat the dragon? Or do you dare allow it to slay you and put you back on your correct path?